Pro-Chancellor, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to present Scott Mills for the honorary degree of Doctor of Arts. With more than 6 million people tuning into his Sony Award-winning radio show each week, today's honorary graduand is one of the biggest names in British radio. Yet, he admits, radio first appealed to him because he was so shy. Born in Southampton, DJ Scott Mills grew up in Eastleigh, where he attended the Shakespeare Primary School and Crestwood Secondary, before following his passion for broadcasting and achieving remarkable success. I've achieved a lot of my goals, including working on the station of my dreams, the one I grew up listening to, which I never thought would happen, he admits. But I still feel there is time to achieve more. The Scott Mills Show has been nominated for and received many awards for its contributions to radio. Last year it won the Sony Silver Entertainment Award, and in previous years a Gold and Bronze Sony for Best Interactive Programme. Other accolades include 2 Loaded Laughters for Funniest Radio Show and Funniest DJ, beating off fellow Radio 1 DJ and ratings rival Chris Moyles. His success extends beyond the airwaves, with numerous television appearances, including the National Television Awards, Top of the Pops, and presenting the National Lottery midweek draws. He has also made cameo appearances in Casualty, Hollyoaks, Skins, and The Bill. His most recent contribution was The Hoff, When Scott Came to Stay, a documentary for Living TV, which saw Scott living with Baywatch star David Hasselhoff at his LA mansion. He has also appeared in a follow-up documentary, Meet the Hasselhoffs, where David and his daughters explore the UK. Scott took David to visit his old school in Eastleigh to lend their support to the Young Chamber programme, a programme to help young people learn more about business firsthand. Like many great artists, Scott's passion for radio began at a young age. It was what I always wanted to do, since before I can remember. I loved the idea of being able to communicate without meeting people because I was such a shy child. Such bashfulness didn't last. By 12, Scott was working for Hospital Radio in Southampton, and by 16, he was volunteering at local radio station Power FM. It wasn't long before he got his first big break, securing the permanent slot of 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. 6 nights a week. Being the youngest permanent presenter on mainstream commercial radio, Scott made his name. As his listeners grew, so did his status. After Power FM, Scott went to GWR FM in Bristol, where he stayed for 2 years before being poached by Manchester station Piccadilly Key 103. By 1995, Scott had moved to the London station Heart 106.2 and was also making regular television appearances, reviewing music on Sky News. In 1998, Scott Mills joined BBC Radio 1 to present the Early Breakfast Show. In 2004, he moved to weekday afternoons to fill in for Sarah Cox as she went on maternity leave. Later that year, The Scott Mills Show was born after Sarah Cox decided not to return to weekdays. A local boy at heart, Scott is proud of his Southampton roots. I think Southampton is so much better now than it was even 10 years ago. There are more places to go out, West Quay is fantastic, and I really enjoy coming home to spend time with my family. It chills me out to come back home and be by the sea. I always come back when London gets a little bit too stressful. It's only just over an hour away on the train, but it's completely different, he says. Leaving school at 16 to follow his dreams in radio meant further education was overlooked. Therefore, being awarded with an honorary degree from Southampton Solent was a big shock for him. I'm completely amazed. I never thought this would happen to me, as I kind of gave up any hope of that happening when I left education after my GCSEs to work in radio. I'm so honoured that the university has done this, and my family is so overwhelmed by it. It means so much. With a primetime show on one of the most influential radio stations in the country, a career spanning almost 2 decades, it's fair to say Scott Mills is not only an inspirational disc jockey, but a leading figure in British broadcasting. Pro-Chancellor, I conclude this citation by asking you to confer the honorary degree of Doctor of Arts on Scott Mills.
Hi everyone. There's a lot of clapping, isn't there? I have written a speech, but it's very short because, and also he said most of the stuff I was going to say. But it was lovely, thank you very much. This feels very strange for me, and I am extremely happy standing in front of you all today. It's a huge honour. Thank you doesn't really seem enough. It's a personal highlight for me, and like your man said there, when I found out about this, I did actually have a few minutes to myself to let it all sink in. I do feel so flattered to be back at home, and thank you so much to Southampton Solent University for choosing to present me with this degree. But if it's good enough for Craig David, it's good enough for me. I know everyone always says in these situations, oh, you're good at talking to people, you do it every day, but I sit in a box in London and I can't see anybody, and I can see all of you, and I'm terrified. So let's make it quick. Up until today, I only had a couple of GCSEs, I think in geography and home economics, and maybe a bit of English, I don't even remember, to my name, because I just wanted to get on the radio. So as you can imagine, my family all here today are very pleased and proud and stuff. I don't feel I've really worked for this degree. We have text on my radio show every day going, since I announced this, saying, hang on a second, I've worked for a few years and I'm now 20 grand in debt, so sorry. Sorry. Don't throw eggs or flour, as my co-host Shapper suggested this week. If you want to, do it now. Okay, good. The closest I've ever been to university, really, is DJing at them, which I do on a weekly basis all over the UK, and kind of gives me a taste of what I missed all those years ago, presenting radio shows at 4 a.m. in the morning when I should have been in the student union bar having a bit of a snake bite or something, because I didn't do any of that. I've always wanted to work in the media, radio in particular, since I can remember, but the fascination started long before that. My first foray into broadcasting, as was mentioned, was at the age of 12 when I did the chart countdown on Southampton Hospital Radio, which is interesting. Even though I was kind of broadcasting to one man in the geriatric ward at Southampton General, I wasn't allowed to touch the equipment because they said I was too young and I wasn't insured. And then they sent me a letter saying I was trespassing, which I was probably the youngest trespasser in Southampton at the age of 12. So they hated me. So I thought, well, I'll get a job at a proper radio station. I wrote numerous letters to Radio Solent and to Ocean FM, as it was then, asking for work experience. And because I was so persistent, 6 months later, Ocean gave in to my constant stream of letters, and they were constant. And my mum and dad kept telling me, well, come on, you need something else to fall back on. And they were right. But I knew exactly that this was what I wanted to do, the only job I ever wanted to do in my life. And eventually they offered me a Saturday job on the sports show. If you listen to my show, you'll know that sport and me don't really get on, but thankfully I didn't need to know anything about it. Hooray. I need to mention a year later, the boss of that station then, Chris Carnegie, who now is controller of BBC Radio Solent, who is a Southampton South Coast radio legend, asked me to, he said, make a tape and I will make you a star. I always have still got the letter, and I'll always be thankful to Chris. His knowledge, experience and encouragement when I was 16 is why I'm standing here today, and I learned a lot from him. He gave me that damned overnight show, 1 till 6, which I did for 2 years, then Bristol, then Manchester, then Radio 1, of course, which was my dream. And I was slightly freaked out on day 4 of my new job, which was at 4 a.m, no one listened, when Zoe Ball went sick and I had to do the breakfast show on day 4. I was probably as nervous as I am now. But every day I get to entertain over 6 million people. I've been doing it for 5 years now in my current slot, play records, have a laugh, and we even took our very tongue-in-cheek project, Scott Mills the Musical, to the Edinburgh Festival for 3 nights this year, which I was very pleased to have on my little career CV. All the TV stuff we mentioned as well, and my genius team I have to mention at Radio 1, including Emlyn Dodd, who is the man who keeps coming up with the fun ideas every day. Thank you to him. Nothing really, though, can compare to receiving this honorary degree today in my home city, a city of which I'm very proud to have come from. Southampton is where my earliest memories kind of took place, including my very good 12th birthday at Pizza Hut. It was a good one. Like I said, I'm lucky enough to have my family here today. Makes me kind of proud to be here. Thanks to Mum and Dad and Wes and Grandad Sue, Mandy and Ray for being so supportive over the years and not thinking that I was a weirdo because I wanted to do a slightly out of the ordinary job. Finally, I want to thank you all of you. Congratulations for today. It's been a great day. I want to congratulate everybody, and I wish you all in whatever field you choose to follow from here. Thank you to Professor Bob Pilling, the Dean of the Faculty of Media, Arts and Society, Paul Marchbank, thank you Paul, Head of the School of Media, and Professor Glenn as well, Pro-Chancellor, for their kind welcome to campus today, and of course to Southampton Solent University for bestowing me this honour. Come on, Southampton, thank you very much.